He looked like a gentle giant, polite, intelligent, even soft-spoken, but behind those calm words hid a monster. A monster who didn't just kill, he calculated. He controlled, he confessed with chilling ease. Edmund Emil Kemper, the co-ed killer, 6'9", a man who could crush you with his bare hands. He murdered not strangers, but young women who trusted him, even the people closest to him. He killed his grandparents as a boy. He slaughtered college girls in the prime of their youth, and in the end, he turned his wrath against his own mother. This is not just a story of murder. It is a story of intelligence and pure evil, a combination that created one of the most terrifying killers in American history. The question is, how many warnings were ignored before Edmund Kemper revealed who he truly was? Edmund Emil Kemper was born on December 18, 1948, in Burbank, California. From the very beginning, his world was fractured. His father, Edmund Sr., a World War II veteran, hardened by battle, worn down by family life. His mother, Clarnell, strict, domineering, bitter. Instead of warmth, young Ed received constant criticism, reminders that he was unwanted, a burden. Clarnell forced her son to sleep in the basement, cold, dark, crawling with rats, while his sister slept in their rooms. Edmund lay awake, alone with his fears. He later admitted those nights filled him with twisted fantasies, dreams of power, control, revenge. By age 10, the warning signs were already there. He decapitated his sister's dolls, performed pretend funerals for animals, and soon graduated to killing the animals themselves. Cats disappeared in the neighborhood, only to be found buried in his backyard. When asked why, Ed's response was chilling. I wanted to see what it felt like to kill something that trusted me. While other children played outside, Edmund spent his time imagining dark scenarios. He would play games with his sisters, games with names like gas chamber, electric chair. Even in play, death fascinated him. But no one intervened. The family saw these behaviors as odd, but not dangerous. What they didn't know was that this young boy was quietly building the mind of a predator who, in just a few years, would turn those fantasies into reality. By his teenage years, Edmund was already an intimidating figure. At just 15, he stood taller than most grown men, 6'4", with an unsettling presence. In 1963, after years of tension with his mother, Ed was sent to live with his grandparents on a rural farm in North Fork, California. His grandmother, Maud, strict and controlling, much like his mother. She criticized Ed constantly. His grandfather, Edmund Sr., elderly, frail, unable to protect the boy from the growing hostility inside the home. The pressure built like a storm waiting to break. And then, on August 27, 1964, it exploded. 15-year-old Edmund sat at the kitchen table while his grandmother scolded him once again. He retrieved a rifle his grandfather had given him for hunting and shot his grandmother in the head. Moments later, he shot his grandfather. 2 lives ended in minutes. Not strangers, not enemies, but his own grandparents. When asked why, his explanation was chillingly detached. I just wanted to see what it felt like to kill Grandma, and I didn't want Grandpa to have to find her like that. At 15, Edmund Kemper became a double murderer. The police were stunned. Instead of being treated as a criminal, he was sent for psychiatric evaluation, diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. He was sent to Atascadero State Hospital, a maximum security facility for the criminally insane. But this was only the beginning. Inside those walls, Edmund would learn how to become an even better predator. Atascadero State Hospital was supposed to contain Edmund Kemper, but in many ways, it shaped him. While most 15-year-olds worried about school dances, Edmund was surrounded by murderers, rapists, and violent offenders. And instead of fear, he studied them. Kemper had one powerful weapon: his intelligence. With an IQ of 145, he charmed and manipulated everyone around him. He read psychiatric texts. He learned how to impress evaluators. He mastered the art of appearing normal. Over time, the doctors believed he was rehabilitated. In 1969, at just 21, he was released, back into the custody of his mother. Edmund Kemper, now a grown man, returned to live once again with the woman he hated most. When Edmund Kemper walked out of Atascadero, the world thought he was cured. He was polite, articulate, calm. But deep inside, nothing had changed. He had learned one crucial thing inside those hospital walls: how to hide the monster better. He returned to the one person he despised most, his mother, Clarnell. The same sharp tongue, the same bitter voice that once drove him into darkness, now echoed again through the walls of her home. She mocked his height, his loneliness, his failure with women. Each word was gasoline poured onto the smoldering fire inside him. By 1972, Kemper was done pretending to be normal. He bought a yellow Ford Galaxy, modified it with hidden locks and secret compartments. He began driving near college campuses, offering rides to young women heading home. He studied each route, each escape, each detail, refined his methods, eluded law enforcement, perfected the ritual of control. On May 7, 1972, Marianne Pesce and Anita Lucchesa disappeared. They never made it home. Over the next months, Kemper killed with precision, each act carefully rehearsed, each murder sharpening his skill. He became known as the co-ed killer, and while California panicked, Edmund Kemper smiled, blending in among the very people searching for the man who hunted them. By 1973, Edmund Kemper was no longer experimenting. He was mastering. Each victim was chosen with precision. He offered rides, spoke softly, disarmed them with charm, and then everything changed in a heartbeat. His killings were not acts of rage. They were rehearsed performances. He planned routes, studied police patterns, kept trophies, not out of curiosity, but out of control. The harmless giant who shared drinks with cops at local bars, listening as they discussed the mysterious co-ed killer. He nodded, laughed, even offered opinions, all while hiding the truth that he was the ghost haunting their city. By the end of that year, 6 young women had vanished. No one suspected Edmund Kemper. He wasn't the shadow in the alley. He was the man who smiled back in daylight. Investigators began piecing together a chilling pattern: a man who didn't stalk shadows, but walked in daylight among his prey. Eyewitnesses recalled a tall, calm man with a gentle voice, driving a yellow Ford, but no one imagined it could be the quiet, intelligent man who drank coffee with them every morning. Meanwhile, Kemper watched the panic grow. He read newspapers, listened to police radios, studied their every move. He wasn't running from the investigation. He was walking beside it. Psychologists later described him as one of the most dangerous types of killers: high-functioning, narcissistic, meticulously controlled. He didn't kill out of impulse. He killed out of structure. To him, each murder was a project, an experiment in domination. And yet, the pressure was building. Each crime brought him closer to the ultimate target of his hatred: his mother. Every woman he killed was, in some dark way, a rehearsal for the one person he truly wanted to destroy. Clarnell Kemper's toxic influence had always haunted Edmund. By 1973, the simmering rage had reached its peak. His mother belittled him, insulted him, reminded him he would never be wanted by a woman. And Edmund's patience finally snapped. He murdered his mother and her friend, dismembering their bodies in a horrifying act of control and vengeance. It was no longer about thrill, no longer about practice. It was personal. Edmund Kemper had become a highly intelligent, manipulative, and utterly remorseless killer. He was at the pinnacle of his power, but hubris has a cost, and his arrogance would soon lead to his capture. On April 24, 1973, Edmund Kemper made a decision. He picked up the phone and called the police. He confessed 8 murders of young women, the killings of his grandparents, the latest crime, his mother and her friend. If this story left you shocked or intrigued, subscribe to Real Crime Vault. Every week, we bring you one new true crime story. Like, share, and comment, because inside the vault, the truth never sleeps.